Welcome to the Trump Breaking News Network, your daily source for up-to-the-minute Trump news. Join us today and every day. Here's today's news.
This is TBNN.
Evidence proves DNC fabricated Russian conspiracy in June 2016. New evidence proves that the Democrats manufactured the Russian interference story as a disinformation campaign as far back as June 2016. New evidence proves beyond a reasonable doubt that the Democrats manufactured the Russian interference story as a disinformation campaign as far back as June 2016. Information gathered by Internet sleuths proves that the DNC, Clinton campaign and Obama administration conspired to concoct the Russia-Trump story, and provides a brand new motive for why Seth Rich was murdered. Reddit.com reports, understanding the order in which the events happened will be important to understand why it was the DNC and only the DNC could have manufactured the Russian campaign. June 14, 2016 The DNC releases a statement stating they have been hacked. Washington Post. June 15, 2016 CrowdStrike, cybersecurity firm, releases reports suggesting the DNC was hacked by Russians. CrowdStrike. June 15, 2016 Guccifer 2.0 publishes first DNC email documents and claims he has sent them to WikiLeaks. Guccifer insists he is not Russian. Guccifer 2.0 blog. June 16, 2016 Vice publishes article titled Guccifer 2.0 is likely a Russian government attempt to cover up its own hack. Other media outlets follow suit calling Guccifer a Russian government job. Vice. July 22, 2016 WikiLeaks releases the DNC email documents. WikiLeaks. July 27, 2016 Trump makes infamous Russia. If you're listening, I hope you're able to find the 30,000 emails that are missing joke that starts allegations of Russian collusion. Politico. In bullet point form. DNC announces they've been hacked. The day after, a hacker calling himself Guccifer 2.0 claims to have taken credit for the hack and announces he will be giving his documents to WikiLeaks. Guccifer 2.0 vehemently denies being Russian, a facade he keeps up throughout his activity. Bolstered by CrowdStrike's report and the metadata in Guccifer 2.0's documents, media outlets immediately start screaming that Guccifer 2.0 must be Russian agents. Finally, WikiLeaks releases the DNC documents a month after Guccifer 2.0 did. This post unmasks Guccifer 2.0's identity as none other than the DNC. What did Guccifer 2.0 do? Guccifer 2.0 hosted a WordPress site where the DNC documents could be publicly downloaded. June 15 was the date of the first Guccifer 2.0 leak. Further leaks would continue thereafter. I focus only on the first leak, as they contain the metadata which are essential to proving it was a DNC operation. What were in the leaked Guccifer documents? Guccifer 2.0 leaked a total of 10 office documents from the DNC in the first batch. Many more would come, but none contain the same mistakes as the ones I shall detail. All Microsoft Office documents have metadata entries which contain attributes about the document itself, such as the user that created them, the user that modified them, and so on. This metadata is usually invisible to viewers but can be viewed with a raw text editor like Notepad, or on Mac OS, Vim. It would be unusual for a leaker to modify the metadata, but Guccifer 2.0 did, claiming that it was his watermark. In Office, the metadata includes the owner of the Office application who created the file and the owner of the Office application who modified the file. I present a list of the document names having metadata values for original author and modified author. Document name original author modified author. 1.doc and flood. 2.doc and flood. 3.doc and flood. 4.doc Blake. 5.doc JBS 836. Kama or Felix Dzerzhinsky in the English alphabet, was an early Soviet statesman who died in 1926. So what? Warren Flood, Blake, and JBS 836 were the original authors? Short answer, no. Non-technical answer, for one thing, we can cross-reference the actual authors from the WikiLeaks dump. 1.doc is in the verified WikiLeaks release as the attachment which can be downloaded from here, which has the original author of Lauren Dillon. So, wait, who is Warren Flood et al.? Each of these documents had a creation date of June 15, and were modified by a few minutes later. In Office 2007 format specification, there is a certain style sheet template which dictates overall formatting for the document. In 3 of the documents by Warren Flood, we find the identical metadata. The above line appears across all 3 of Warren Flood's documents. Styrsid 117584797 is a unique identifier that is author associative. The fact that it does not appear in the other documents indicates it's associated with Warren Flood and not dot. Why is this important? Well, the \length N49 portion is a setting saying that Russian language should be used as the default language for the document. Had been setting the watermark, it would be the same across all documents. But instead, distinct watermarks were created for each document creator, suggesting inconsistent application or 3 different creators applying their own watermark. In other words, document creators set the document properties to use Russian language and created 3 distinct so-called watermarks in doing so, not apostrophe dot. Also, cross-reference to WikiLeaks shows that Warren Flood did not author any of the documents. And given that the timestamps are all on June 15, this is the sequence of events. Warren Flood opens a DNC document, copies it, and pastes it as a new document to his computer. Warren Flood sets the theme language to Russian in some way. This process is different for all authors. Warren Flood modifies the document's author to dot. The modified document is then uploaded to the Guccifer website and publicly published a short time thereafter. Who is Warren Flood? Warren Flood is a high-ranking technology official for Democratic operatives, having worked for Obama for America, DNC, and Joe Biden. It's a unique name. His name does not appear in any of the WikiLeaks emails, meaning that he appears to be a third party as far as the DNC email leaks are concerned. Other than his professional internet profile, he is a social media ghost, never having made any tweets nor any evidence of real social media activity. The pertinent point is that, the metadata forensic proof is irrefutable that Warren Flood, or someone who owned a copy of Word registered to Warren Flood, shoehorned in obvious Russian fingerprints all over the documents. Guccifer 2.0 is none other than a botched DNC creation to create a false flag for Russia. Impact of Guccifer 2.0 being a DNC creation. The Russian influence to the U.S. election campaign all started from the DNC leak. Allegations of Russian influence was built on a completely fabricated foundation of lies. In hindsight, we now know that Obama administration unmasking of U.S. campaign officials on the pretext of Russian interference started in June 2016, same date as when Guccifer 2.0 began. The implications that the unmasking all was predicated on a DNC psyops is staggering. Who cares why the DNC did it? Because it proves that Russian interference started as a total DNC fabrication that persists to today. The whole Russian campaign started before Trump made his infamous joke about Russians getting Hillary's emails. Illegal unmasking of Trump campaign officials over Russian interference began June 2016. Was this predicated on Russian interference with the DNC hacks? If so, this means that the leaks not only implicate DNC and plague President Trump himself, but also implicates Obama administration officials and all the involved intelligence agencies. Why did DNC leak their own documents? It's right in Guccifer 2.0's blog. Pertinent quote, "The main part of the papers, thousands of files and mails, I gave to WikiLeaks. They will publish them soon." The DNC knew they were having their documents leaked to WikiLeaks, and wanted to make sure a Russian hacker took credit for the leaks. How did the DNC know WikiLeaks was going to release the DNC emails? Great question. It's hard to imagine them knowing without assistance from intelligence agencies, and indeed unmasking of campaign officials started in June 2016. This is, of course, highly illegal, and would mean that the Russian disinformation campaign wasn't just a DNC operation, it was also created from collusion with the Obama administration using highly illegal means including violations of the Fourth Amendment. Since Guccifer 2.0 was a botched operation, that might make the continued existence of the real leaker who might draw scrutiny that much more precarious. What about CrowdStrike report? The metadata I described above can be independently verified by a non-technical person with access to any text editor like Vim, which is available on macOS terminal command line. It does not require special force-sync analysis to identify. There are only two explanations: staggering incompetence, or DNC collusion. I cannot say if CrowdStrike is competent, but I can say that their co-founder and CTO, Dmitry Alperovich, is a senior fellow with the Atlantic Council, a think tank whose policies could be termed as anti-protectionist. Who leaked the DNC emails to WikiLeaks? In short, all circumstantial evidence points to Seth Rich. Seth Rich was killed on July 10, after the Guccifer drops and before the WikiLeaks release. WikiLeaks offered a $20,000 reward for information on Seth Rich's death. Craig Murray, a British national connected with WikiLeaks, claims a disgusted Democrat insider was the leaker and he personally flew overseas to make the drop. Was Seth Rich murdered by the DNC? We are getting in speculative territory here. The circumstances of his death are suspicious. There had never been a homicide prior or after in his area. The assailants did not steal any of his valuables. Conspiracy theorists assume Seth Rich was murdered by the DNC to set an example. Personally, I think that as long as Seth Rich existed, he could have spoken up as the leaker at any moment and drawn scrutiny to Guccifer 2.0 being a DNC operation. To our knowledge, the unmasking of Trump and related officials started in June 2016 using the DNC hacks as a pretext. Seth Rich's continued existence could have led to the fall of the White House and intelligence agencies. Is that motive enough for a political hit? You tell me. News sources say that the documents contain DNC metadata is disproven. In addition to hosting them on the official WordPress website, DNC documents were sent directly by Guccifer 2.0 to media outlets such as The Hill, despite Guccifer 2.0 himself claiming hatred of these very same media outlets accusing him of being Russian. What Guccifer 2.0 sent was not always the same as what was on the official Guccifer 2.0 website. My speculation is that Guccifer 2.0 revised the documents to remove the metadata, and sent those corrected documents to media outlets. He could not do the same on his WordPress site without drawing intense scrutiny, so the botched documents remained. Bottom line, it is unimpeachable that watermarked Russian metadata in Guccifer's first document drop are associated with a DNC tech worker named Warren Flood who otherwise has nothing to do with the DNC emails. Any media outlet reporting otherwise are probably either working from their own corrected copy from Guccifer or spinning hard or both.
That's the news. Join us here every day. Be sure to subscribe and click the bell. See you next time.
This is TBNN.